So I'm Chantal. I became a London National Park City Ranger, I think 3 years ago when it first became, actually probably coming up to 4 years ago when it sort of launched really. I have always had an interest in the environment. My first degree was zoology and psychology, which kind of shows that I was always interested, but unfortunately I sort of moved away from that career-wise. I love hiking, I'm a walker, and I started to sort of do some solo walks, and my connection with nature got much stronger as a result of that, because I found that sort of because you're having to self-navigate, you're having to actually use your eyes a lot more, look around you, see what's ahead of you in terms of where you're going. And I just found that because of that, I would look at plants and trees and look at the nature around me, just found that sort of I was much more strongly connected. And given that I've always been interested in nature, that sort of surprised me that there was such a big gap. And so when I came back from being away walking, I just wanted to express that, sort of communicate that with other people and sort of bring that out of others and help people to connect with nature. Because I think there is sort of maybe not a negative view, but I think a lot of people think they have to know everything to be able to understand what's around them. Whereas, to be honest, I've now sort of been able to identify a lot more birds than I could before, but I'm definitely no bird expert, I'm no insect expert. I don't really think I'm an expert in any species, but I just have a real passion for what's around me. And I just want to sort of convey that with others and help them to sort of see what's around them, because we are nature, really. So, yeah. When things are taken away from us, we realise the value of it, and because we couldn't get outside as much as we could have before, I think I know there's scientific studies done in terms of just being out in green space has such a positive impact on our mental health and well-being. I think that the fact that people can get out into nature and find some solitude and peace, to be away from their home lives or work lives, and I think there's such a diverse range of benefits in terms of being outside. I think also sort of some of the walks that we've been doing here at Warren Farm Nature Reserve, we found that sort of it started last June, and we found that sort of that grew more and more. So many people would attend. I think at one point there was sort of 50 people that turned up, which was a little bit overwhelming. But I think what we've conveyed with that is that you don't have to be an expert, and you can have people that are sort of telling you what species are there, but you can also appreciate what's around you just by literally seeing that there are more species of bird than you realised, or more species of grass and flowers. And I think it's just being able to use your eyes and your senses really when you're out in nature really helps, I think, to just see the world differently and help with your mental health as a result. My passion of nature, I wanted to sort of hopefully convey that to others and allow others to sort of just see that in London we have nature on our doorstep. Again, being in Warren Farm today, it's amazing to think that this huge, like 61-acre piece of land, which it's so diverse, is in West London. It's literally in London. It's not in the suburbs or the borders. And I think that's, there's a lot of spaces in London that are so rich. And, I think that's the other thing. As a Londoner, you tend to take it for granted because we do know that London's quite green. But I think to actually explore some of these places, and I know from friends, some people with during lockdown, they didn't even know there was a green space right near them. And then they made use of that sort of during lockdown. And that opened up people's eyes. So for me, again, it's sort of conveying what's there. I try to do that through my Instagram account or from sort of nature walks, just to say to people, look, these are some beautiful things that are here. I don't know the name of this pink flower, but look how beautiful it is. And I understand from other people that, certain insects feed on it, which then certain birds feed on, and sort of just subtly convey that, everything's connected, and it's so important for us to appreciate it because we don't stand alone. Humans can't exist without nature. We have such precious areas in London. We have such a diversity of species. We have things like, again, what's found here, ground nesting skylarks. We have so many species of tree. Paul Woods, who's a tree expert and written quite a few books, has said that London based on the UN definition of a forest, is classified as a forest because of the abundance of trees. In terms of the vision for London, I think it's really to be clear to people and councils how much we need to protect the space, how much we as inhabitants of London, Londoners should use these spaces and not just value it when we don't have it, like during lockdown, and sort of take advantage of it and tell other people about it. If you're passionate about something, share it. You know, I will convey to friends how much I love moss and how much I love certain trees. And I don't mind that it might sound a bit silly, because I realise now that connection, communicating those kind of things sticks with people, and that they then look at certain things differently. So for me, I think it's very important for us as Londoners to be aware of what we have, to protect it as much as we can, because I guess really my vision for London would be to protect what we have and expand on it, not deplete it and take it away.
How can we get there?
I think by people, really, a really difficult question, I think. But I think, again, by people being passionate and speaking up, because, you know, I think it's very difficult when you're a lone voice. Oftentimes, years ago, I would think that I was the only one that really cared about the environment, or, you know, appreciated trees and walking in green space. And then when you start to speak to other people, you realise that you're not alone in that. But everyone sort of, or a lot of people then sort of keep these views to themselves, and therefore we don't realise that we have this shared interest. So I think really it starts with us, that we can, you know, what can we do? And it might seem really small, and it might be really small, but even telling people about your local green space, going out with friends and saying, like, let's meet up on a Sunday or weekend or after work and get out into this green space and share that enthusiasm. I'm doing that at work. I go for lunchtime walks around St James's Park. And I've started to say to my colleagues, come with, it's great for your mental health, you know, let's go and see. And then I'll tell them about the ducks that I see in St James's Park and all the different birds. But you see the enthusiasm, and you see how actually when we get back for the afternoon, everyone's so much more motivated. So I think we all can do things on a really small basis of like sharing our enthusiasm, and just sort of, you know, if we know that councils are doing things that they shouldn't be, you know, potentially looking to build in areas, you know, campaign against that, or, you know, if they've got things online where, you know, you can write to your councillor. So I think it's really important. We all have to realise we have a voice, no matter how small it might feel, and B, you know, keep that going, because it's so important. Nature is so critical. I think everyone knows that, but then when it comes down to it, you know, it's so easy to sort of be deprioritised. So I think the fact that it was the first national park city in the world, and now there's more around the world, which shows that, you know, other cities see the value in it. Because I think sometimes labels can be bad, but sometimes they can also be really beneficial to say, why is it a national park? Why do people consider it a national park? You know, the fact that it has so many, the rich density of trees. You know, I think it's a great thing, and I think more people should know about it and come to their local national park.